Today we're looking at my new favorite way to start seeds in the late summer for a fall and winter garden. Let's go. Hey friends, it's Kendall, your joyful farmer. I'm here on my porch this evening to show you one of my favorite ways of starting seeds, especially for the fall and winter garden. Our temperatures are really warm here in North Texas, especially in July and August, but even into September. So if I'm sowing seeds in the summer for a fall or winter garden, I want to make sure that my seeds germinate. And in order to do that, what I'll do is I'll take any container. I like to use repurposed containers. I'll make sure that they have drainage holes in the bottom. I will put a good amount, 2 to 3 inches of good high quality potting soil in the bottom. I'll sow my seeds in the container and I'll go ahead and set my container somewhere indoors that I'm going to be able to walk past it multiple times a day so that I can notice as soon as they germinate indoors. This allows for them to have temperatures between 70 and 75 degrees, which helps with the rate of germination, especially for things like brassicas that like cooler weather. So as soon as I see them germinate, I'll take the container, I'll pull it out here onto the porch, and I'll set it out here where the seedlings quickly adapt to the conditions and they grow into baby plants. I will make sure that they are under the shade of the covered porch because here in North Texas, if we put them out in the direct sun right away, the sun is likely to dry up the soil really quickly, and rather than try and water my seedlings multiple times a day, I would much rather have them in a larger amount of soil under the shade cover so that I can make sure the moisture levels leave me a little bit wider margin for error. As soon as the seedlings start to get 2 to 3 sets of true leaves, this yarrow is probably a little bit overgrown at this point, but I'll go ahead and up pot them into 2-inch soil blocks or into their own containers so that they are separate and they have space to continue to grow. In fact, these are probably large enough transplants now that I could go ahead and transplant them out in the big garden if I was ready to. Another thing that I've found I've really liked to do this summer is I've kept my containers inside of a kiddie pool. This allows it to catch the extra water and the containers really hold on to the water fairly well. Or I can bottom water the containers by filling the kiddie pool with a shallow amount of water and they just soak the water right up. And in summertime, that's really helpful for them. Another thing we contend with in the summertime here in Texas is insect pressure. So there are grasshoppers that will hop up here on the porch and they will devour all of these baby plants if I let them. So by covering it with insect netting or covering with the container's lid just slightly, not closing it and sealing it all the way, but leaving some airflow, but keeping it covered really does help keep the plants away from those insects. I've also discovered that I really like using a 2-inch soil blocker, especially for things like brassicas that need a lot of space to grow. These are just about ready to transplant out. They're a great size for transplanting, and the 2-inch soil blocks don't dry out nearly as quickly as the 3/4-inch soil block. And again, it gives me a little wider margin for error so that if I forget to water them one day, it's not the end of the world and they're not going to shrivel up. There's still some moisture there in the soil blocks. Most of what I have is brassicas, so I have kales, kohlrabi, Brussels sprouts, cauliflower, broccoli, and all of these will be ready to transplant out here shortly. The weather's just now cooled off to where the highs are in the 80s, so I can finally get away with putting these guys out in the garden. So that's it. I would love to hear what you're starting for your fall and winter garden and what you're going to be growing this year as it cools off. I wish you joy on your journey, and I'll see you next time.